The blackness of space stretched forever. Stars burned like cold fire, silent and endless. Captain Ray Carter sat in the pilot's chair of his small explorer ship, the Horizon. For weeks he had been alone, mapping forgotten corners of the galaxy. The hum of the engines and the blinking lights of the console were his only companions. Then it happened. A sound cut through the silence. A thin, broken voice. His ship's comm system crackled, spitting out a faint signal. Ray leaned forward. The signal was weak, almost dead, but it carried something strange. It was not human. It was not anything his database could identify. Unknown distress beacon detected, the ship's AI whispered. Ray frowned. Distress beacons usually meant trouble, wrecks, traps, or worse. Still, he felt a pull inside his chest. Someone or something was calling for help. Against the AI's warning, he adjusted the ship's course and followed the signal. Minutes later, a ruined planet came into view. It hung in space like a wounded beast. Its surface was cracked with scars of fire. Whole continents were burned black. Oceans boiled into steam. The planet was dying. Ray tightened his grip on the controls. Who could still be alive down there? He muttered. The horizon broke through the thin atmosphere. Ash and dust swirled around the ship as it landed on broken ground. The silence was heavy, almost painful. No birds, no winds, no voices. Just the echo of a dead world. Ray stepped out, his suit shielding him from the toxic air. His boots crunched against glassy soil as he walked among the ruins. Towers lay shattered, cities reduced to skeletons of stone. It felt like walking through a graveyard of giants. His scanner beeped. Ray froze. One life form detected, the AI announced softly. He stared at the screen. Just one, weak, fading, but alive. He followed the signal through broken streets until he reached the remains of a building. The walls were half melted, the roof caved in. Inside, shadows stretched long and deep. Ray pushed aside debris and stepped into the darkness, and then he saw her. A girl, not human, at least not fully. Her skin was pale silver, glowing faintly under the dust. Long hair, white as snow, clung to her face. Her clothes were torn, her body weak, covered in strange wounds. She looked young, but her eyes, closed now, hinted at something ancient. Ray's breath caught. An alien, alone, dying. As he knelt beside her, her eyelids flickered. Slowly, painfully, she opened her eyes. They were not like human eyes. They shone with a deep, glowing blue like oceans filled with stars. For a moment, those eyes locked onto his. Fear. Hope. A silent plea. Her lips moved, but no sound came. Instead, her hand reached out weakly and touched his arm. Ray felt a shock race through him. His visor flickered, his heart thundering. Strange symbols, glowing golden, spread across her skin where she touched him. For a second, they glowed on his own suit too, like fire dancing across glass. Then they faded. What the hell? He whispered. The girl's eyes rolled back. She collapsed into his arms. Ray stared at her fragile form, torn between caution and compassion. She could be dangerous. She could be part of a trap. But looking at her, he knew one thing. Without his help, she would die. He lifted her gently, cradling her light body against his chest. Hang on, he muttered. You're not dying here. Carrying her, Ray hurried back through the ruins. The scanner beeped nervously. Behind him, the air shifted. A low sound rolled through the dead city, like metal grinding against stone. Ray spun around but saw nothing, yet he felt it. Eyes. Watching him from the shadows, he ran faster. The girl's weak breathing echoed inside his helmet. She was fading. He had to move. The Horizon's landing ramp hissed open as he rushed inside. He laid the girl on the medical bed and activated the ship's auto-care system. Lights scanned over her body, analyzing wounds and vitals. The AI spoke again, warning. Unknown DNA detected. High risk. I don't care, Ray snapped. Save her. The machine's word to life, covering her in healing light. Ray leaned against the wall, heart still racing. Who was she? Why was she here, alone on a dead planet? And what were those glowing symbols? He didn't know the answers. Not yet. But he knew one thing. His life had just changed forever. Outside, beyond the clouds of ash, something moved in orbit. Strange ships, silent and black, circled the dying world. Their sensors locked onto the horizon, tracking the human ship that had taken something. Someone. They wanted, and soon, they would come. Inside the horizon, the hum of the ship filled the silence. The alien girl lay on the medical bed, her silver skin glowing faintly under the scanners. Captain Ray Carter stood over her, watching as the autocare system worked to stabilize her condition. The machine hissed, spraying a thin mist over her wounds. The AI's calm voice cut through the tension. Vital signs unstable. Unknown organ structure. Probability of survival uncertain. Ray clenched his fists. He hated that word, uncertain. He leaned closer, staring at the girl. Her chest rose and fell in shallow breaths. The glowing symbols that had spread across her skin earlier were gone now, like they had never existed. "What are you?" Ray whispered under his breath. As if in answer, her eyes opened again. Those glowing blue eyes locked onto his face. This time she tried to speak. A soft sound escaped her lips like music broken by pain. The words were strange, unearthly, but Ray felt something behind them, a desperate plea. He shook his head. "I don't understand you." Her hand rose slowly, trembling in the air. She pointed at his chest, then at the stars visible through the window. Her lips moved again, forming sounds he couldn't translate. Still, her meaning was clear. She wanted him to take her away. Ray sighed, his jaw tightening. He had spent years exploring the galaxy, surviving by following rules. Don't interfere, don't risk too much, stay alive. But looking into her eyes, those rules felt small and weak. "All right," he muttered. "I'll get you out of here." The AI interrupted, its voice sharp. "Caution. Unknown life form may pose a threat to crew safety." Ray let out a short, humorless laugh. "I am the crew, and she's not a threat. Not right now." The alien girl shivered, coughing weakly. Strange light flickered on her skin, running across her arms like rivers of fire. Ray watched, both fascinated and uneasy. Her body seemed to be fighting some kind of inner storm. "Stabilization incomplete," the AI reported. "She requires rest." Ray adjusted the ship's settings, powering up the engines. The ground outside shook as the horizon prepared to leave the ruined planet. Dust and fire swirled around the ship, rising like angry spirits. Then the scanners screamed. "Multiple vessels detected," the AI announced. "Closing in." Ray's heart pounded. The orbiting shapes he had glimpsed earlier were no illusion. Dark ships, sharp and jagged like predators, were descending through the clouds. Their weapons glowed red. They were hunting. Ray turned to the alien girl. She stared back at him, fear plain in her glowing eyes. She knew who they were. "Buckle up," Ray muttered, sliding into the pilot's seat. "This is going to get rough." The horizon roared into the sky, engines burning as the planet's surface fell away. Behind them, the enemy ships gave chase. Red beams of energy shot past, shaking the hull with every near hit. Ray's fingers flew over the controls. He dove through thick clouds of ash, swerving between crumbling mountains and broken towers. The horizon groaned under the strain, alarms flashing red. The alien girl clutched the edge of the medical bed, her eyes never leaving the window. At one moment, she raised her hand again, pointing at a formation of rocks ahead. Ray hesitated. "You want me to go there?" She nodded weakly. Trusting her, Ray angled the ship and darted toward the formation. At the last second, a hidden passage revealed itself, a tunnel carved through the cliffs. He plunged inside. The enemy ships followed, crashing into the walls as they tried to keep up. Explosions shook the cavern, lighting the dark with fire. Ray pushed the horizon through the tunnel, scraping the sides but breaking free into open sky. Behind him, 2 enemy ships were destroyed. The rest were still coming. The alien girl's eyes glowed brighter. She pressed her hand against the control panel, and once again, golden symbols appeared. This time, the horizon responded. Systems shifted, engines surged, and speed doubled. Ray's eyes widened. "What did you just do?" The girl gave no answer. She was too weak, her hand falling back to her lap. But the ship raced forward like it had been given new life. The enemy vessels shrank behind them, unable to keep up. Minutes later, the horizon broke free of the atmosphere. The ruined planet grew small in the window. The scanners beeped, showing enemy ships falling back. For now, they were safe. Ray let out a long breath, leaning back in his chair. His heart still thundered, but a grin touched his lips. Not bad for a day's work. He turned to the alien girl. She had collapsed again, but her breathing was steady now. For the first time since he found her, she looked peaceful. Ray studied her in silence. Who were those ships? Why were they chasing her? And how had she done what she did to his vessel? He didn't know. But one truth was clear. By saving her, he had just painted a target on his own back. The AI spoke again, voice flat. Recommendation: release subject. Abandon immediately. Ray shook his head. Not happening. I don't leave people to die. He looked once more at the alien girl. She stays with me. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Outside, in the darkness of space, red lights blinked faintly as the enemy regrouped. The hunt was far from over. But for now, Ray Carter had made his choice. The stars outside the horizon drifted like cold sparks against endless darkness. Inside the ship, the silence was heavy. The engines purred softly, but Captain Ray Carter could not relax. His mind kept replaying the chase, the enemy ships, and the strange power that had saved them. He turned his eyes toward the medical bed. The alien girl was still asleep, her breathing steady now, her pale silver skin glowing faintly under the soft lights. She looked peaceful, but Ray knew peace was only an illusion. Danger was still out there. The ship's AI broke the silence. Enemy ships no longer in pursuit. Probability of re-encounter high. Ray sighed. Yeah, I figured as much. He leaned back in the pilot's chair, rubbing his tired eyes. He had faced pirates, smugglers, even raiders in the past. But this was different. Those ships weren't scavengers. They moved with precision. They wanted her why. As if she had heard his unspoken question, the girl stirred. Her eyelids fluttered, and slowly her glowing blue eyes opened. She turned her head, studying him with quiet intensity. You're awake, Ray said softly. She struggled to sit up, her body weak. When she tried to speak, the words came out broken in a language Ray didn't know. Still, the sound was filled with urgency. I don't understand, Ray admitted. He tapped the console. AI start translation mode. The AI hummed. Insufficient data. Recommend extended interaction. The girl frowned, then closed her eyes. She pressed her palm to the console again. Golden symbols flickered across the metal surface. The lights on the ship shifted, systems humming louder. Then slowly her voice changed. It was still broken, but now half understandable. Run. They come again, she whispered. Ray froze. He leaned forward. Who? Those ships? Who are they? Her eyes filled with fear. Hunters. They kill. They burn. They take. Her words stumbled, but the meaning was clear enough. Ray felt a chill run down his spine. Hunters. That was no random attack. That was extermination. What did they want with you? He asked. The girl shook her head slowly. She placed her hand against her chest. Not me, all. My people gone, few left. Ray stared at her. A whole species hunted to extinction. That explained the dead planet, the silence, the ruins. He remembered the empty cities and scorched ground. It hadn't been war. It had been slaughter. Her voice broke as she spoke again. I go, princess. Last blood, if I die, tribe die. Ray's chest tightened. She wasn't just a survivor. She was the last hope of her people. That was why the enemy chased her with such fury. To kill her was to erase her kind forever. He ran a hand through his hair, thinking hard. So I've got half the galaxy after me now. Because I picked you up. The girl's eyes glistened. Leave me. Safe you. If stay, you die. Her words struck him, but Ray only shook his head. I don't abandon people. Not my style. The girl stared at him, confused. Why, you human? Not your war. Ray gave a thin smile. Because I'm human. That's exactly why. For a moment, silence filled the cabin. She looked at him as if seeing him for the first time. Her lips trembled, but then she bowed her head slightly, a gesture of gratitude. Before Ray could speak again, the scanner screamed. The AI's voice sharpened. Multiple signals detected. Enemy vessels approaching at high velocity. Ray cursed.
How the hell did they find us so fast?
The girl's hands trembled. They never stop. Always hunt. Red dots lit up on the screen. 5 ships closing in fast. Ray's stomach tightened. His vessel was small, fast, but not built for long fights. He looked at the girl. If you've got more of that magic trick you pulled earlier, now's the time. She pressed her palm to the console again, but this time the symbols flickered weakly. She shook her head, tears in her glowing eyes. We can't. Now Ray clenched his jaw. All right then. Guess it's up to me. He powered up the ship, engines roaring. The horizon shot forward, weaving between drifting asteroids. Enemy fire lit up the void behind them. Explosions rocked the ship as beams scraped the hull. The girl cried out, clutching the bed as the ship shook violently. Ray's hands moved with sharp precision, guiding the horizon through tight gaps, diving under spinning rocks, dodging deadly beams by inches, but he knew he couldn't keep this up forever. Then the girl shouted, her voice breaking but clear. Hi, Nebula! There, She pointed through the window. Ray squinted. Ahead, a massive purple cloud spread across space, a nebula, thick and stormy, crackling with lightning. Dangerous. Unstable. A graveyard for careless pilots. He hesitated for only a second. Then he nodded. Nebula it is. The horizon plunged into the swirling storm. Static crawled over the hull, lightning flashing around them. Enemy ships followed, but the cloud distorted their sensors, their beams scattering uselessly. Inside, alarms blared. Warning, the AI droned. Electromagnetic interference critical. Ray ignored it. He pushed the ship deeper, hiding in the storm's chaos. Minutes passed. Slowly, the scanners cleared. The enemy ships had broken off, unwilling to risk the nebula. Ray exhaled hard, slumping in his chair. That was too close. The girl stared at him, eyes wide with a mix of awe and fear. She whispered softly, "You fight like warrior." Ray gave a tired grin. "I fight like a man who wants to stay alive." But deep inside, he knew this wasn't over. They would find him again. They would never stop. He looked at the girl, her fragile form glowing faintly in the storm's light. "You've given me a warning," he said quietly. "Now I know what we're up against." Outside, lightning cracked through the nebula. The hunt had only just begun. The nebula boiled with stormlight, purple clouds flashing with streaks of white fire. The horizon drifted in silence, hidden deep within the chaotic storm. Captain Ray Carter's hands rested on the controls, but his eyes never left the scanner. He knew it was only a matter of time before the hunters returned. Behind him, the alien girl sat weakly on the edge of the medical bed. Her glowing eyes stared at the window, watching lightning crawl across the endless mist. She looked calm on the outside, but Ray could sense the fear inside her. "They'll be back," Ray muttered. The AI's voice answered coldly. "Probability of re-engagement, 95%. Recommendation, abandon subject to reduce threat." Ray shot the console a glare. "I told you already. She stays." The girl tilted her head, listening. She didn't understand every word, but she understood enough. Her lips trembled, and she whispered softly, "Danger, because of me." Ray turned to face her. "Listen, you didn't choose this. But you're not alone now, so we fight." For a brief moment, her eyes softened. Something like trust flickered there. Then the scanner screamed. Red dots appeared at the edge of the screen. 6 ships this time. Bigger, faster, more dangerous. The hunters had returned, and they were angry. "Here we go," Ray muttered, powering up the engines. The horizon roared to life, breaking free of the nebula's cover. The enemy ships locked on immediately, spreading out like wolves surrounding prey. Beams of red light shot across the void, forcing Ray into a sharp dive. The ship rattled, alarms blaring as the chase began. Asteroids drifted nearby, massive rocks tumbling slowly through space. Ray aimed straight for them. "Let's see how well you fly in a maze." The horizon weaved between the asteroids, engines screaming. Enemy ships followed, firing relentlessly. Explosions lit up the black, shattering smaller rocks into clouds of debris. Ray gritted his teeth, pulling sharp turns, skimming dangerously close to jagged edges. One enemy ship clipped an asteroid and spun out, vanishing in a fiery blast. Ray smirked. 1 down, but 5 remained. Inside, the girl clutched the seat, her glowing eyes wide. "Faster! Faster!" she cried in her broken English. Ray pushed the throttle, but the horizon was already at its limit. The enemy ships were closing in, their weapons carving fiery trails across the asteroids. The girl rose shakily to her feet. She pressed her hand to the control panel again. Symbols lit up, golden and alive. Suddenly, the engines surged with new strength, speed doubling in an instant. The horizon shot forward like a comet. Ray's jaw dropped. "You've got to teach me how you do that." The girl only shook her head weakly. "Not me. Ship. Response to you, Bond." Ray frowned. "Bond, what are you talking about?" But there was no time for answers. The hunters unleashed a new weapon, nets of crackling energy that spread wide across space. One snapped into place ahead, blocking their path. Ray cursed, pulling the horizon into a desperate roll. The net grazed the hull, sparks exploding across the console. Warning lights flashed red. "Shields at 60%, the AI reported. Ray growled. "That's enough. Time to hit back." He flipped a switch. The horizon wasn't a warship, but it wasn't defenseless either. Cannons slid from its sides, spitting bursts of plasma. The blasts lit up the void, striking one hunter ship squarely. It exploded in a shower of flames. 2 down, Ray muttered. The others closed in tighter, furious. They moved with sharp precision, circling, herding him like prey. Ray's heart pounded. They were too many, too fast. Then the girl gasped. She pointed ahead. "Moon, hide there!" Ray squinted. Through the asteroid field, a dark shape loomed, a moon, scarred and cratered, half hidden in shadow. "Good eyes," he said, steering hard. The horizon dove toward the moon, enemy fire chasing them. Beams scorched across the surface as Ray skimmed low, hugging the craters. He guided the ship into a deep canyon, walls rising like jagged teeth around them. The hunters followed, pouring fire into the narrow space. Rocks exploded, dust filling the airless void. Ray twisted through the canyon, scraping the hull but staying ahead. At the end of the canyon, he saw a dark opening, a cave wide enough for his ship. Without hesitation, he plunged inside. The horizon's lights cut through the darkness, revealing a vast hollow chamber beneath the moon's surface. The enemy ships thundered past above, missing him completely. Ray slowed, letting the ship settle into the shadows. His chest heaved as the scanners cleared. For now, they were safe. The girl collapsed back onto the bed, her strength nearly gone. Yet her glowing eyes never left him. "You save." "Again," she whispered. Ray gave a tired smile. "Get used to it. That's kind of my thing." But inside, he felt the weight pressing heavier with every chase. These weren't random attacks. They were relentless, tireless, and they would never stop until she and maybe he too were gone. He turned to her again. "You said you're a princess, that you're the last of your people. So tell me, what exactly am I caught up in?" Her lips parted. She wanted to speak, but exhaustion pulled her down. Her eyes closed, and she drifted into sleep once more. Ray sat in silence, the echoes of the chase still pounding in his head. Outside, the hunters regrouped, their ships circling the moon like vultures. The game wasn't over, it had only just begun. The hidden cave beneath the moon was dark and silent. The horizon rested deep inside the hollow chamber, shielded from the hunters circling above. Captain Ray Carter powered down the engines, leaving only the soft hum of the life support systems. He leaned back in the pilot's chair, exhausted but alert. Every muscle in his body ached, yet his mind refused to rest. The girl lay asleep again, her silver skin glowing faintly in the dim light. She was fragile and powerful at the same time, like fire wrapped in glass. Ray's eyes narrowed on the scanners. No movement inside the cave. No heat signatures, just rock and silence. For now, they were safe. But then something strange happened. A sound echoed through the cavern. A low vibration, like a drum beat hidden inside the stone. Ray sat up straight, his hand instinctively moving to the sidearm at his belt. The sound grew louder, repeating in a slow rhythm. The girl stirred, her glowing eyes snapping open. She sat up quickly, as if she recognized the sound. A smile touched her lips for the first time since Ray had found her. She whispered one word. "Home." Ray frowned.
"Home? What do you mean?"
Before she could answer, shadows moved at the far end of the cavern. Figures stepped out of the darkness, tall, graceful, glowing faintly in the same way the girl did. Their skin shimmered like silver under the ship's lights, their eyes glowing blue. Ray's breath caught. There weren't just one or two. There were dozens, maybe hundreds, alien women. They moved silently, their eyes locked on Ray and the girl. Some carried staffs that pulsed with faint energy. Others wore armor crafted from strange metal. They were wary, cautious, but not hostile. The girl rose to her feet, swaying weakly, but determination burned in her glowing eyes. She walked to the edge of the ship's ramp and raised her hand. Golden symbols appeared faintly across her skin. The crowd of alien women froze. Then slowly they began to bow. One by one, they lowered their heads, pressing their hands against their chests in reverence. Ray stared in shock. "What the hell?" The girl turned to him, her voice trembling but clear. "My people, survivors." Ray stepped forward, trying to process what he was seeing. He had thought she was the last of her kind. But here they were, an entire tribe of survivors hiding beneath a dead moon. A tall woman stepped out from the group, her armor glowing faintly. Her face was stern, her eyes sharp. She studied Ray with suspicion, then turned to the girl. The two exchanged words in their native tongue, their voices soft but urgent. The tall woman's eyes flicked back to Ray several times, each glance sharp as a blade. Finally, she bowed her head to the girl, though her gaze on Ray remained cold. The girl turned back to him, her voice shaky. My guardians. They keep safe, long time, hiding. She took a slow breath, her eyes softening. I am princess. Last blood of queen. They protect me, but no men. Only women left. Ray's chest tightened as the truth unfolded. The hunters had wiped out the males, leaving only these women to survive in secret. The tall warrior finally spoke in broken English, her voice strong. Human, why you here? Why you take her? Ray crossed his arms, standing firm. Because she needed saving. And I don't leave people behind. The woman's eyes narrowed. She looked like she wanted to argue. But the princess raised her hand, silencing her. He saved me, the girl said softly. Without him, I die. A ripple of murmurs spread through the tribe. Their glowing eyes turned toward Ray, some filled with gratitude, others with doubt. Then, as if carried by one thought, they all stepped forward and lowered their heads again. This time they bowed not only to the princess, but to him. Ray felt a chill run down his spine. Oh, great. Now I'm a hero. The princess's lips curved into the faintest smile. To them you are more. You are sign. Human who fights. When all others run. Ray shook his head. I'm just trying to keep us alive. The tall warrior stepped closer. Hunters will come. They always come. We cannot fight alone. Too many. Too strong. She hesitated, her glowing eyes burning into his. But with you, maybe chance. Ray let out a slow breath, the weight of their hope pressing heavy on his shoulders. He was only one man with one small ship, but these women looked at him as if he was their savior. The princess placed her hand gently on his arm. The golden symbols flared again between them, warm and alive. We stand together. Ray met her glowing eyes, and for the first time he realized the truth. He wasn't just caught in someone else's war anymore. He was part of it. The silence of the cavern broke as the distant rumble of engines echoed from above. The hunters were returning, circling like vultures, hungry to finish what they had started. Ray squared his shoulders, looking at the tribe before him. Warriors, mothers, daughters, all survivors who had been running for too long. All right, he said firmly. Then let's give the hunters something they'll never forget. The cavern was alive with whispers. The tribe of alien women gathered around the horizon, their glowing eyes fixed on Ray Carter. The princess stood close to him, her silver skin shimmering in the dim light. The tall warrior leader, stern, unshaken, watched him with eyes that seemed to weigh his very soul. Ray had been in battles before, but never like this. He wasn't facing raiders or smugglers. He was facing hope. Hundreds of desperate survivors were staring at him as if he were the answer to a prayer. The warrior leader finally broke the silence. Her voice was cold yet heavy with unspoken emotion. Hunters will return. They always return. This time more ships, stronger. She stepped closer, eyes burning. We cannot run forever. We fight. Or we die. The crowd murmured in agreement. Their voices filled the cavern like a storm. Ray crossed his arms, feeling the weight of their gaze. And what exactly do you expect from me? I've got one ship. I'm just one man. The princess touched his arm gently. The golden symbols flickered between them again, glowing faintly. Her voice was soft but clear. Not one man. Human who saves. Human who fights. You show us. Not all lost. Ray pulled away slightly, shaking his head. You don't understand. Fighting these hunters means war. I've seen their ships. They're faster, stronger, more advanced. If I stay here, I'm putting all of you at even greater risk. The warrior leader's voice sharpened. If you leave, they still find us. They hunt until nothing left. You run, you live. We stay, we die. She paused, her eyes narrowing. So choose, human, leave us, or fight with us. The words echoed through the cavern. Ray looked around. Mothers clutched their children. Young warriors stood tall but afraid. Their glowing eyes were filled with something more powerful than fear. Hope. Hope that he hadn't asked for. Hope he wasn't sure he deserved. He swallowed hard. You're asking me to fight a battle I can't win. The princess stepped closer. Her voice trembled but carried strength. Not about win. About life. About future. If no fight, we vanish. If fight, maybe hope. Her words cut deep. Ray had spent years wandering the galaxy, avoiding attachments, avoiding responsibility. He had lived by one rule, survive, but now, survival felt empty. He looked into the princess's glowing blue eyes, and for the first time, he saw more than just a survivor. He saw someone carrying the weight of an entire people, someone who refused to give up. Rey exhaled slowly. Damn it. The warrior leader tilted her head. Your choice? Rey gave a tired smile. I've never been good at running away. He looked at the crowd, his voice firm. I'll stay. I'll fight with you. The cavern erupted with sound, cheers, cries, voices rising like thunder. For the first time in years, the tribe felt something stronger than fear. They felt belief. The princess's eyes filled with tears, glowing softly. She placed her hand against his chest. You choose us. You are our warrior now. Rey nodded, though doubt still gnawed at him. He was no savior, no chosen one. He was just a man in a small ship. But sometimes a single choice could change everything. The warrior leader stepped forward, her voice strong. Then prepare. We have weapons hidden long. Not much, but enough. We train, we fight. With human, maybe chance. Rey glanced at the princess. If we're doing this, then I need to know more. About the hunters. About why they want you so badly. The princess lowered her gaze. Her voice was heavy, almost broken. They want... End of bloodline, I am last. If I die, no queen rises. No tribe returns, Rey clenched his fists. So it's not just about survival. It's about erasing you completely. She nodded silently. Rey turned to the warrior leader. Then we don't wait for them to strike. We hit first. We make them believe this tribe isn't prey anymore. The leader's lips curled into the faintest smile. Good. You think like warrior. For hours the cavern buzzed with preparation. Weapons long hidden were brought out. Staffs that glowed with energy. Shields that shimmered like glass. Small ships covered in dust but still functional. The women trained, their movements sharp and disciplined. Rey watched, impressed. They were not helpless. They were strong, fierce, determined. All they needed was someone to lead them. Someone who believed they could stand against the hunters. The princess stayed near him, her eyes never leaving his face. They follow you now. You give them courage. Rey shook his head. Courage comes from them, I just lit the spark. But deep inside he knew the truth. By choosing to fight, he had crossed a line he could never step back from. The hunters would come. They would come with fire and fury. And when they did, Rey and the tribe would either rise together or fall together. As the cavern filled with the sound of training, Rey looked up at the jagged ceiling. He whispered softly, almost to himself, This better be worth it. The princess standing beside him whispered back, It will be. You see? And somewhere above, in the endless night of space, enemy ships gathered once more, preparing for war. The cavern shook with the echoes of preparation. Weapons hummed with faint blue light, old ships were tested, and the alien women moved with sharp discipline, ready for war. Captain Ray Carter stood at the center, his arms crossed, watching as the tribe trained. For the first time in years, the silence of hiding was broken. The princess stood beside him, her silver skin glowing in the dim light. She looked fragile, but her eyes carried the weight of a queen. The warrior leader approached, her voice cold but steady. The hunters gather above. Soon they strike. No more running, Ray nodded grimly. Then we strike back. The plan was risky. Their weapons were old, their ships few, and their numbers small compared to the hunters. But Ray knew one truth. Fear had kept this tribe in the shadows for too long. To survive, they had to fight. As the tribe prepared, the scanners of the horizon lit up. Red dots filled the screen, 10 hunter warships descending fast. Their black hulls glowed with crimson light, moving like predators ready to kill. The warrior leader barked a command, and the cavern filled with movement. Small fighter crafts rose, shields activated, and staffs glowed with deadly energy. Ray climbed into the horizon's cockpit, powering up its cannons. His heart pounded, but his eyes burned with focus. The princess touched his arm before he sealed the cockpit. Her voice was soft, trembling with both fear and faith. You fight. Not alone. We with you always. Ray gave her a sharp nod. Then let's show them what we're made of. The cavern doors opened with a roar and light spilled in. One by one, the ships of the tribe soared into space. The horizon followed, engines blazing. For the first time in centuries, the survivors rose to fight. Above the moon, the hunters waited. Their fleet spread across the stars, black and merciless. When they saw the survivors, their weapons lit like fire. The battle began. Explosions lit up the void as beams of red clashed against blue energy shields. The women fought with courage, their small ships darting like arrows, their weapons striking hard. The hunters fired back with fury, tearing through the battlefield. Ray's hands flew across the controls, guiding the horizon into the thick of combat. Plasma cannons roared, blasting holes in enemy hulls. He rolled the ship hard, dodging beams by inches, firing again and again. One hunter ship exploded under his fire. Another crashed into an asteroid, shattering into flames. Ray let out a sharp breath. That's two. But the hunters were relentless. Their ships were stronger, their numbers greater. The tribe fought bravely, but one by one their ships were hit, shields breaking under the assault. Inside the horizon, alarms blared. Shields dropping. Hull stress rising. Ray cursed under his breath, pushing the ship harder. He refused to give up. Then, in the middle of the chaos, the princess's voice filled the comms. Her image flickered onto the screen, glowing symbols alive across her skin. Her voice was no longer weak, it was commanding, regal. Stand. Do not break. We are not prey, we are warriors. Her words spread like fire through the tribe. The women roared in unison, their courage surging. They pushed forward, fighting with renewed fury. For the first time, the hunters faltered. Ray felt the change. That's it. Keep pushing! The horizon dove beneath a hunter cruiser, blasting its engines. The ship exploded in a brilliant fireball. Around him, the tribe pressed the attack, striking with precision and rage. But victory was not certain. More hunter ships appeared at the edge of the scanners, reinforcements rushing in. The tribe's forces were thinning. Then it happened. The princess appeared outside, standing tall on one of the larger crafts. Energy flowed from her body, golden symbols glowing brighter than ever before. She raised her hands and a wave of light spread across the battlefield. The hunter ships froze, their systems flickering. For a moment, silence fell. Ray's eyes widened. What the hell is this? The warrior leader's voice crackled over the comms. The bloodline of queens, the gift. She awakens. The princess's voice boomed, echoing across every ship. You hunted us, burned us, tried to erase us. No more. Her power spread, searing into the hunters' vessels. One by one, their systems failed, engines dying, weapons going dark. Some ships exploded under the strain. Others fled into the dark void. The battlefield shifted. The tribe roared in triumph, their voices echoing through the comms. For the first time, they had beaten the hunters back. Ray sat in the cockpit, stunned. You just turned the tide. The princess's image flickered back onto his screen. Her glowing eyes locked onto his. She whispered softly, but with strength. I told you. You are not here by accident, Ray frowned. What do you mean? Her lips curved into a faint smile. You are chosen. The bond between us is not chance. It is destiny. Before Ray could respond, the scanners screamed again. A new signal appeared. Massive. Unlike anything before. A hunter mothership, larger than all the others combined, broke through the void. Its shadow covered the stars. The warrior leader's voice dropped into silence. Even the tribe froze in fear. The princess's glow dimmed slightly, exhaustion pulling at her. But her eyes never left Ray's. The true war begins now. Ray gritted his teeth, staring at the massive ship approaching. His heart pounded, but fire burned inside him. He whispered under his breath. A promise to himself, to her, to the tribe. Then let's finish this. And with the enemy mothership looming, the story was far from over.